Hi there, in today's video we will learn how to create a comprehensive system test using Testkube. To do that, we would be using pre-created test workflows and create a custom test workflow where we will run some tests in sequence, some tests in parallel to create a comprehensive system test. So to do that, we have already created a couple of test workflows. So we have a Postman, we have a Cypress, and we have a distributed K6 test workflows. To learn how to create a test workflow, do check out our previous videos or refer to the blog post. So to create your custom test workflow, all you have to do is click on Add a new test workflow button and it will present you with 4 options. We will choose the third option, which is combine existing test workflows, and then provide a name for your workflow. We'll then click on add the first workflow and choose the first test flow. In this case, we are adding a curl test, which will be followed by a Cypress test along with a distributed K6 test and a Postman test. So if you see here, we have the curl test which would be running first, and then we would have Cypress, distributed K6 and Postman, all three running in parallel. So this is the custom test workflow that we just created, and you saw how easy it is to create by just clicking on these tiny little plus buttons and referring to the existing test workflow that is present in the system. So what our workflow would be doing is we have a curl test which would log in a user and fetch the access token, and this token will be passed on to Cypress, distributed K6 and Postman, which would be using this token to perform the further testing. We click on the next button and this is the default spec file that is created based on the workflow that we created in the previous step. Now we have to modify this file in order to fetch the access token and pass it on to the other workflows. So I would be modifying this. So let us see what are the changes that are required. We create a set of environment variables, username and password that would be used by the curl test to perform the authentication. We provide the code to perform the authentication, and then what we also configure here is that it will fetch the access token and store it in a file called http_output.txt. Now we all know that we should never store access token in plain text files in production, but we are doing it for simplicity in this video. Scrolling down, we have the workflows that we had defined. We had Cypress, Postman and distributed K6. And for all of them, we configure a variable named token, which will read the contents of this file and pass that to the variable. And all these test workflows will be using this token variable to perform the testing. So with this file in place, let us go ahead and click on create and run. Now, once we do this, it will create the workflow, it will schedule it, and the execution will start. So you see here that our curl test has passed and we have the Postman, distributed K6 and Cypress all executing in parallel. So when we click on it, we can see that the tests are executing and how the tests have performed. So in this case, the Postman test has already passed. So we can see the status here. Similarly, we can check the status of other tests as well. So let us check Cypress. And if you check this test, you will see that we have a step where it is displaying the token that was received. So this is the token that was received by the curl test, which was passed in the token variable to the Cypress test, which we had created a step to show it here, but this is the token that it has used to perform the other steps. Now, if we get back to our custom test workflow, we see that all the other workflows have successfully executed. So that's how you create a custom test workflow where you can use your existing test workflows, play around with them, run them parallelly, run them in sequence, and create a comprehensive system test. So that's it for this video.